All right, welcome everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started right on time today. It's 11 o'clock. If you are joining the recording of this, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this. And these sessions will last approximately 30 minutes. I always say that and generally go over because I'm asking questions because I really want this to be an interactive experience. But today I really do need to keep it to 30 minutes because I have a client that I need to meet with at 12. So I want to try to do this as efficiently as possible. So I do encourage you, though, to put your comments and questions in the chat box. For those of you that don't know, my name is Michael Williams, and it is certainly a pleasure for me to be here with you today. And as you probably saw from the original screen there, we're going to be talking today about 7 common speaking situations that trigger stuttering. That's what we're going to be looking at today. Okay, so this is going to be pretty exciting stuff, and again, I look forward to your questions and your comments. Go ahead and let me know how you're doing today. Let me know who you are and where you're from and what you do for a living. Okay, so just go ahead and type in where you're from, what you do for a living. If you'd like to leave your name, you can. If not, we can see your screen name there. All right, so as I said, today we're going to be talking about 7 common speaking situations that trigger stuttering. If you would, let me know that you're able to see and hear me. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm not talking and you're not able to hear me or you're not able to see me. Okay, so again, my name is Michael Williams. It's wonderful to be here with you today, and we're going to go ahead and get started, okay, talking about 7 common speaking situations that trigger stuttering and what to do about them. Now, what I'm going to be doing with you today is I'm going to be giving you a high-level overview of the 7 common speaking situations, and then we'll talk about one of them today, and then for the next several sessions we'll come back and we'll talk about the next one, right? So we'll have, approximately 7 sessions, and in each one of those sessions we'll look at one of the triggers. So today we'll do an overview, then we'll talk about one trigger. Okay? All right. I'm also going to be sharing with you, and I'm going to be leaving, or you'll be seeing a couple of things, lower thirds on the screen, and you'll see something scrolling by, to invite you to do one of 2 things. And I'll talk to you about those things later. For those of you that are familiar with the Pro-90 speech system, you've constantly heard me say that you really need to put in about 60 minutes a day of work if you want to transform your speech. And that scares the H out of a lot of people. You're like, 60 minutes? I don't have 60 minutes. We all have 60 minutes, but it's a matter of is that something that we're going to be able to maintain and sustain? So what I've done is I've created, or I'm redesigning the system, reformatting it, so that if you spend a minimum of if you spend a minimum, or let's say as little as 10 minutes per day, you can get to where you want to get with your speech. 10 minutes a day. So who doesn't have 10 minutes a day? Now, obviously, optimally you want to spend between 40 to 60 minutes. But if you spend 10 minutes a day using this new approach, you can get to where you need. 20 minutes is better, 40 minutes is even better, an hour is even better, but 10 minutes a day will get you there. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that a little later and how you can get into this. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I just want to check back and see if anyone has any comments or questions so far, but do go ahead and let me know that you can hear me. Let me know how you're doing. Tell me where you're from and what you do for a living. Okay. Even if you're joining us in the replay, I would love to see those things. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 7 common triggers. Okay, the 7 common triggers. And I'm going to try to go ahead and have printed up just a very, very simple PDF that has these triggers, and so that you can see them, and hopefully you can come back and watch and listen to this so that you can grasp what it is that we're talking about today. So let's take a look at these 7 common triggers. I'm going to switch over to another screen so you can just see that. Okay. These are things that my clients have told me, okay, things that my students have told me, and things that I've personally experienced myself. These are speaking situations in which you may find that you begin to get stuck, to stammer or stutter. Okay? And yes, there are probably more situations, I'm sure there are, or combinations or variations. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at these 7. So, and these are not in any order of priority necessarily, right? So we may skip around, we may jump around, but let's just go 1 through 7 and do a high-level overview. And the reason that it's important for you to know what these triggers are is so that, number one, you can identify them and be aware, aha, when I'm in this kind of a situation, this is what happens. This is how I begin to feel or think or speak. And sometimes it's automatic. In fact, it's often automatic. It's just something that happens to you. It's subconscious. It's unconscious. So becoming aware of it gives you the power to be able to do something about it, to address it. When you're not aware of it, it's not impossible to do something about it. It's just a little more difficult, right? Because you're not aware of when it's actually happening or maybe why it's happening. So we're going to talk about these triggers. The first one is speaking with someone in authority or someone that you perceive to have authority. Okay. So again, we're not going to talk deeply about any of these. Well, we will talk deeply about one of them today, but we're not going to talk deeply about any of them. So when we speak, when someone speaks, or when some people speak with someone in authority or someone who they feel like has authority, this can often trigger stuttering. As we're going through these, I want you to reflect on your own personal speaking situations and think about which of these triggers apply to you. Maybe only one, maybe none, right? Maybe several of them do. So just think about them. Think about them for just a moment. So speaking with someone in authority, right? A second one is speaking with people you don't know or people that you don't know very well. That can trigger stuttering. In fact, if you're watching this and you're able to type into the chat box, I'd love for you to type in your trigger or triggers. You don't have to type the whole sentence. You can just type authority, don't know, do know, center, right? That'll just kind of let me know what your triggers, your personal triggers are. So speaking with someone that you don't know or someone that you don't know very well. That's a second one. A third one is speaking with people that you do know very well. Believe it or not, sometimes speaking with someone like a parent or a really good friend or a sibling, brother or sister, cousin or uncle, right? Someone that you've been around, they know who you are, so you have a certain identity with this person. That can often trigger stuttering. And in fact, that was the case for me for many, many years. And I'll tell you when we get to that what I did about it. Number 4, speaking when you're the center of attention. Just heard someone say this to me recently. I'm just taking a sip of coffee here. So speaking with someone or speaking when you're the center of attention, what does that mean? That means if you're presenting, if you're making a presentation, if you are asking a question, right, in a meeting or in class, if and when you are, give me just a second, I want to turn off my notifications here. Okay. If and when you are leading a meeting. And this can happen when you're on a conference call as well, right? So you don't even have to be visible to the other people who are present on the call. But when you know you're the center of attention, this can do what? This can often trigger stuttering or stammering. Number five, speaking while or after you've compared yourself with others. And we want to get into that one, right? That's a really good one. And I've heard people say this, and sometimes we do this. When you see people around you whom you perceive to be excellent speakers, and perhaps they are, perhaps they're not, right? Perhaps they're just normal speakers. When you perceive them to be better than you, so you're comparing yourself, this can often bump down your confidence or make you feel more self-conscious, right? Because you're comparing yourself with how someone else is speaking. And again, we'll go into this. But if you're comparing yourself while you're speaking, oh my goodness, that can really destroy your speech. It can definitely trigger stuttering. If you're comparing yourself after someone else has spoken, I've seen this happen to people who are just good speakers, right? They compared themselves. They saw someone go before and they're like, wow, they were really good. When they got up there, they were so self-conscious that they were not able to speak well. Okay, so this doesn't just happen to people who struggle with stuttering. This can happen to anyone. Comparing yourself. So this is a really, really good one. Number six, speaking when you're under time pressure. Speaking when you're under time pressure. So when you feel rushed, you might not actually be rushed, you might just feel rushed. You might feel like you need to hurry up and say something as quickly as possible. This could be when you're ordering food, it could be at a restaurant, it could be on a phone call, in a meeting, when you're responding to someone, when you're asking a question or making a comment. It can be any time, right? But when you feel like you're under time pressure, this too can do what? This too can trigger stuttering. All right. The next one that we want to look at here is, and this is number 7, speaking when you're telling a story or explaining something. So what happens is, and again, these are all things that I've personally observed. Either I've observed people doing it in our coaching sessions, they've told me about them, right? Or I've experienced these things myself at some point in the past. And at some point, even in the present, if I'm speaking with someone in authority, I may become a little more self-conscious of my speech. And while it might not trigger stuttering for me, it might trigger a little bit of anxiety, or it might trigger self-consciousness. I have a little story about this when I was talking to someone over the phone, and I was in the airport, and I became self-conscious of my speech for some reason. I just couldn't get my thoughts together and say what I wanted to say. I wasn't stuttering, I just couldn't say what I wanted to say. I couldn't get the flow. I was just kind of saying this and saying that and so forth. And so I want to share that story with you when we get to this part. But speaking when you're telling a story or explaining something, so this is very similar when you're the center of attention, but it's distinct. It's distinct in that, and I've watched people actually, when they go into a mode of, if I ask them a question, they have to explain something, you'll see them look up, right? You'll see them look up. And they switch out of their more dynamic speaking style, and they begin to go monotone, and the flow almost just cuts off, it almost stops. Or often when they're telling a story, they just get out of the flow, right? Something happens in their mind when they begin to tell a story. So we're going to talk about those things, but we're going to look at one of these things today. We're going to look at one of these things today. All right. So let me just take a look and see who we have here. See if we have any questions or anything. All right. Good. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump right into this now. And let's talk about speaking with someone in authority. Okay, let's take a look at that one. When we're speaking with someone in authority, what happens is when a person is speaking with someone in authority or perceived authority, they can become or feel inferior. They can also become very self-conscious. Okay, they can start to feel inferior, or they can start to feel very self-conscious. Okay, inferior or self-conscious. So let's talk about why that happens, and let's talk a little bit about the impact that this can have on your speech. Okay, the impact that this can have on your speech. So when we see someone and we perceive them as being in a position of authority, then we feel like they are judging us and that we have to perform. So this often happens with employers, right? With our bosses, our supervisors, or managers. When we're around them, or we want to speak up in a meeting, or we have to go into a meeting and explain ourselves, sometimes it's a combination of things, right? We have to explain ourselves to someone in a position of authority, and we're under time pressure, and we're the center of attention, right? And someone's gone before us and done a great job, so we're comparing ourselves. So sometimes we can have a combination that can paralyze us, right? But, so we're talking about speaking with someone in authority. So when you're talking with someone in authority, let's say it's an employer, and you go in, you feel like they're judging you. You feel like you have to perform well, because if not, you're thinking, what are they going to think of me? How are they going to assess me, right? I have to perform well when I'm speaking with this person in authority, because they have some power over my income, over my employment, over whether or not I get promoted, over whether or not I get great assignments, and so forth and so on. So there's some reward or punishment, in a sense, that's tied to your what? Your performance. So when you're talking with someone in authority, there's this perception that they are judging you, that they're assessing you. And in fact, they may very well be, right? They may very well be. And they may just be doing it almost unconsciously. It's just what they're doing. They're assessing you. They're saying, okay, this person's pretty sharp, or this person doesn't know what they're talking about. This person speaks clearly, or I can't understand what in the heck this person is saying. So they are assessing you. They are judging you. So when you feel like that, then what begins to happen is you start to, or you stop thinking about, and you stop performing in the way that you should be performing. You stop thinking about the content, that is, what it is that you're trying to communicate. You don't think about or focus on communicating that in a clear and confident and authoritative way, right? You're not thinking about any of those things. What you begin to think about is, I hope I don't stutter, or I hope I don't mess up on this word, or I hope I don't mess up, because if I do mess up, then what will this person think, and how will that impact my career or my job or this person's appraisal of me? Okay? So when our mind is filled with all of those things, because we're speaking with someone in authority, when our mind is filled with all of those things, then what happens is we become distracted and we don't perform well. Does this make sense? So one of the common triggers is when we are speaking with someone in authority or perceived authority, and we feel judged, we believe that the person is giving an appraisal of us, they are assessing us, and in fact that may very well be true. The problem with it is that it distracts you from being able to perform, that is, to present, to articulate, to communicate clearly. when you begin to think about those things. All right, so if you have any questions about this or any stories that you want to share, please feel free to type those into the chat box. But let's take a look at something that you can do about this. Now, before I get to that, I want to go ahead and share with you for just a moment something that I talked about at the very beginning. If you are interested in being able to effortlessly say whatever you want to say, whenever you want to say it, then I want you to listen to me. I want to invite you to a very special beta program that I'm developing now. The essential program is in place. It's built on the Pro 90D speech system, which has been tested over time. The difference, the major difference, is in the format. It's in how it's being delivered. If you're interested in this, then I want you to go ahead and contact me by taking down the link that you see on the screen right now. Okay, so you're probably wondering, what is this that you're talking about, Michael? You haven't told us yet. So here it is. There's two major things that we're doing with this new format to make it easier for you and to make it more effective, right? It's all about making it easy and effective for you. One is that this will be delivered via email only, or your mobile device only. So there's no online course to go to. There's nothing to sign into. The content will be delivered to you via email, making it easy for you. All you have to do is save your emails, put them in a folder, make sure that you have my email addresses, and there's usually a couple. Maybe make sure you put those in your contact list, your safe list. You'll get these emails, and at least for the first 14 days, remember this is beta, so I'm still kind of playing around with a few things, but for the first 14 days, you'll get an email with a link that takes you directly to the audio or video that you need to look at that day. You will also have a daily routine. So right in the beginning, you're going to establish a daily routine. And a part of the daily routine is going to just require you to practice a minimum of 10 minutes a day. More is better, but 10 minutes is great. In addition to that, the other things that you'll need to do in terms of affirmations and listening to audio or watching video, those are things that can be integrated and embedded into your day. They can be embedded into your day, so you don't have to take time off to do it. You can do it while you're going to work, while you're going to school, while you're coming back, while you're exercising or cleaning the house. Some people have jobs where they can play something in the background, and it's a great way to kind of get the information to passively sink in, okay? So the other requirements are things that you can embed and integrate into your day. The thing that you'll need to do is set aside a minimum of 10 minutes a day for practice. You're probably wondering what practice. Well, you'll learn that in the program. So two major things. 10 minutes a day. Everyone has 10 minutes a day. If you don't have 10 minutes a day, there's a problem, right? Everyone has 10 minutes a day. The second thing is the delivery of it. The format is via email. You'll also have all the files in a box folder, box.com. It's a mobile device. You can access it from your desktop. All the files will be there. But primarily you'll want to access the files through the email because I'll have it formatted. I'm literally spoon feeding you, saying, do this, listen to this, watch this, for the first 14 days. After the 14 days, I may include some additional emails. You'll get at least 1 or 2 per week after that, but it'll be just you following a daily routine, okay, following a daily routine. So you'll get that a couple times a week. First 14 days or so, 1 email per day, all right? If this is something that you're interested in, you're going to need to let me know because it's a beta program, so I'm not taking a lot of people because I want to work out some of the bugs. You know, are you getting the emails? Are the emails clear for you? How's the format? So I'm going to be needing feedback. And I had 10 seats open. I have 5 seats open now. That's it. And I have several appointments set up, some for today through the rest of the week. And there's only a couple of more days left. If you've already scheduled your appointment, then you're fine. If you haven't, there's only a couple more days left to get into this beta program at this price. The price is $197. I don't hardly have anything at $197. This is the Pro 90 speech system in a different format and with a focus on 10 minutes a day. So if you're interested in being a part of this beta program, I had 10, I have 5 seats left. There's only a couple of days left. It's $197. I'll be closing this in a couple of days. When I reopen it, it will be a little higher. And it'll probably cap out at about $297 or $299. Right? It probably won't make it more than that. But if you get into it now, it's $100 less than that. So who is this for? These are for those of you who are willing to do what? Invest a reasonable amount of time and a reasonable amount of money in improving your speech. I've heard from thousands of people, Michael, this works when I use it. When I don't use it, it doesn't work. So I'm always looking for ways to make it work for you, So this is a format that can really get you in gear, get you on track, and make it work for you. Okay? So if you're interested, just go ahead and click on that link. Well, not click, because you can't click, but I will put a link in the description box. Inbox Speech Trainer, pro90d.com, Inbox Speech Trainer. You won't find this on my website. You can't just buy it. You have to come through an interview with me to make sure you're the right person. You only schedule an interview if you are willing and able to put in a reasonable amount of time, and if you're willing and able to purchase this at $197. That's the cost. Okay? All right, so I'm going to leave that there for a while, and I want to do a quick review because, as I said, I do want to close this out at 11:30. And so I want to do a review, but I want to give you some strategies. I want to tell you how to deal with speaking, and actually I'll probably go a little over 11:30, but speaking with someone in authority. What should you do? So we know that when you're speaking with someone in authority or perceived authority, what tends to happen is you feel like you're being judged. You feel like you're being appraised or assessed. And what this does is this distracts your thinking. It makes you more self-conscious. It distracts you, and you begin thinking about not messing up as opposed to delivering your content. And you'll hear me talk about or include this particular strategy in several of these things because it just works, right? But we wanted to break these things down. So what is it that you need to do to make sure that when you're speaking with someone in authority that you don't get distracted? Well, here are a couple of strategies, tactics that you can actually use. One tactic is to simply tell yourself this. Now listen to this. You don't say this aloud to the person or to anyone else, right? I'm just saying it to you, so keep this a secret, okay? I can keep this a secret. All right. You tell yourself that, you know what? I don't care who this person is. I'm going to say what I need to say in the way that I need to say it. I'm going to take my time and I'm going to say what I need to say, and it doesn't matter what position this person's in. Okay? I have something to say, and I'm going to say it clearly, and I'm going to say it calmly, and I'm going to say it confidently. So you literally talk to yourself. You encourage yourself, and you remove the power that that perceived authority or that authority has over you by saying, I don't care. I know that's kind of a negative affirmation, but it works. It's empowering. I don't really care who this person, I don't care if this is the President of the United States. He's here to talk with me, or he's here to get information from me, and my job is to, yes, be respectful, absolutely, to respect them as a person, respect this person, respect their authority, but my job is not to be afraid of this person and to not perform well. My job is to perform well. My job is to communicate and articulate clearly. That's what this person wants me to do in the first place. So let me remove this fear. Let me cut the fear off by telling myself, I don't care who this person is. Let me just do my job, right? So you tell yourself that, it empowers you. What else can you say to yourself? You can, prior to the meeting, you can literally visualize yourself speaking smoothly, calmly, and confidently with this person. Just see yourself speaking smoothly and calmly and relax and explaining yourself clearly, right? Speaking with that person the same way you would speak with anyone else. Okay, so visualize prior to this meeting, seeing yourself speak well if you know that it's coming up. Second thing. A third thing that you can do is make sure that you smile. Believe it or not, that one little thing, smile when you're talking to this person. When you smile, it relaxes you and it relaxes the person. When you're really, really serious and you're really tight and tense, sometimes what can happen is you become, again, very tensed and you become very anxious and more nervous. When you smile, you have a tendency to be more relaxed, So just smile and just tell yourself, you know what, I can take my time. I don't care who this person is. I'm going to say what I need to say in the way that I need to say it. Right now, let me just relax and smile and smile and smile. Now, you don't want to smile inappropriately, right? You want to smile appropriately. But at the same time, you do want to go ahead and smile. These are very simple strategies, but they're very, very powerful. So we talked about three. One is to tell yourself you don't care who this person is. The second one is to what? Is to make sure, well, this might not be the second one, but another one is to make sure that you smile, right? To make sure that you smile. And there's something else that you can do when you're talking to this person. The other thing that you can do is you can make sure that you do what? That you actually visualize, yourself speaking to this person. And when you do that, visualize yourself smiling and speaking to them with a sense of authority. Now, include this other little thing here, but it's a little deeper, and it's something that probably we'll talk about when we talk about number 5, which is when you compare yourself, okay? When you compare yourself here. And that is, it has to do with your own self-esteem, your value of yourself, your self-worth, and your self-confidence. So something else that I'll mention here, and we'll go into it deeper, is to simply tell yourself that you like yourself. Say, hey, I like myself. I like myself. Or you can say, you know what? You like yourself. You are a very confident person. You like who you are. You love who you are. You say that to yourself. When you say that I like myself, when you say you like yourself, you like who you are, what you're actually doing is you're boosting your own confidence and your self-esteem. And when you boost your self-esteem, it has an impact on your confidence. And when your confidence rises, what do you think happens to your performance? Your performance improves. Okay? So you can tell yourself you like yourself. You can visualize yourself speaking with that person and smiling. You can make sure when you're speaking with them that you smile, right? Not inappropriately, just kind of smile, but smile. And you make sure that you tell yourself, I don't really care who this person is. I respect them. I respect their authority. It doesn't matter. I can and I am going to take my time and say what I need to say in the way that I need to say it. I'm not going to feel rushed. Not going to be rushed. I don't care if they're rushing me. If they're rushing me and I start stammering and stuttering, that's not going to help me anyway, so I'm going to take my time and say what I need to say. Okay? I can't tell you how many people have told me that just telling themselves that has helped them. So speaking with someone in authority. The other thing, the other strategy that I haven't mentioned, this is the main strategy, and we simply cannot get into it, is something that we call dynamic speech modeling. You will hear me talk about this going forward. Dynamic speech modeling. This is how you change your identity when you're under pressure. Whatever trigger stuttering or stammering for you, dynamic speech modeling completely eliminates those triggers. It does away with them, right? Doesn't mean they're not there. Doesn't mean you don't feel anxious or nervous. It just means you can still perform well when you use dynamic speech modeling. So if you're interested in dynamic speech modeling, is built into the Pro 90 speech system, and we are actually reformatting it and making this even better and making it more of the center of our coaching programs. Okay? In fact, soon I'm going to be coming out with a dynamic speech coaching program. Dynamic speech coaching. And only those people who have gone through at least 30 days of this self-study will be allowed to be a part of this dynamic speech modeling program. And here's the other thing. If you go check my websites, you'll see that my modeling program, my coaching programs are 8 weeks, 12 weeks. They're $2,900 and $3,900. And believe it or not, these are the fastest and the easiest and the most cost-effective ways to improve your speech. Why? Because if you're out trying different programs and you're getting discouraged and you're spending, hundreds of dollars here, thousands of dollars here, buying devices, what ends up happening is you end up wasting time and money and just coming right back to the fact that, you know what, got to put a little work in this, it's going to take a little time, right? Could have started that from the start. So it's the fastest way, it's the easiest way, and it's actually the most inexpensive way if you calculate out all the costs, as well as lost opportunity costs. How many jobs have you lost? How many jobs have you not gotten because of speech? So if you go through the self-study or the inbox speech trainer, what I'm going to do is, well, actually, this program will cost you $19.97. It's an introductory offer. So once you've gone through at least 30 days of the inbox speech trainer or any of the self-studies, it makes it easier for us to work together. We can work together easier and faster. So this program, the Dynamic Speech Coaching, will cost $19.97. Before I launch that program, though, if you've gone through any of the self-studies, you can take $1,000 off of any of my coaching programs. Why? Because it's easy for us to get started. You're already familiar. We don't have to really orient you. So I want to say that again. If you're in any of the self-study programs and you're interested in any of the current coaching programs, $1,000 off, $1,000 off, because it's easy for us to work together. The dynamic speech modeling program, dynamic speech coaching, I'm not sure when I'm going to launch that, but it'll be $19.97. There's not going to be $1,000 off of that. It'll be $19.97, but it's only for people who've gone through any of the other programs. The purpose of all these programs is to help you to do what? Effortlessly say whatever you want to say whenever you want to say it. Does it work? Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the dynamic speech modeling that changes your identity. We're not talking about using techniques now, having to remember techniques. When you get under stress, you forget about the techniques. No. We're talking about changing your identity so that you no longer think of yourself as a stutterer, you no longer feel that you're a stutterer. You can say what you want to say. You actually become an exceptional speaker, an awesome speaker. That's what we're talking about. That's what you want. Where you can speak and not think about speaking. I'm not thinking about speaking now. I'm not thinking about words. I'm just thinking about the impact of what I'm saying and how it's going to impact you and how I can say it that it impacts. I'm not thinking about speaking at all. Okay, that's where you want to be. So if you're interested in the inbox speech trainer, 5 spaces left, a couple of days left. Copy down that link. Get in touch with me ASAP. We'll get you into it if it's a good fit. Any questions for me, let me know. Today we gave a high-level overview of the 7 common triggers. You can see those triggers here. We talked today about speaking with someone in authority. We talked about the fact that when you speak with someone in authority, what can happen is you can begin to think about and feel like you're being assessed, appraised, judged, which in some cases you probably are, but that distracts you and makes you become more self-conscious, which impacts your performance. We talked about a few strategies that you could use to overcome that. One of those is to tell yourself, I don't really care who they are. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to say what I want to say in the way that I want to say it. Another strategy is for you to simply begin to smile. Right? To smile, to relax yourself so that you're not all tense and tight and stressed. Another strategy is for you to actually visualize yourself going into this session smiling, relaxed, and confident. And then another strategy that we talked about was dynamic speech modeling. We just mentioned that, but we that's included in our program. So if you want to go deeper in that, then you're going to want to talk to me about enrolling into a self-study or coaching program, because that's the one that transforms your identity. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. Please leave your comments, and I look forward to seeing you all the next time.